Hi everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to Midweek Nugget with Kenneth Oguzie. It's a bright and beautiful Thursday morning, and it's a great day to talk about something really important. It's always exciting to be here and just to really share some of the knowledge which I have acquired or talk about my personal experience. And a few people have actually sent me emails and sort of messages to my inbox on Instagram and Facebook saying, what would you say would be like your top tips or like mistakes which entrepreneurs make when they start in business and stuff. So I just wanted to share with you my own experience and based on my research, and of course spending time with serial entrepreneurs. And as someone who also owns a business, I think it's rightful for me to share my own experience with you guys. Like I always say, it's all my opinion, and I can't lay claim to knowing it all. It's a journey for me as well, just like it is for every one of you. But I think what I'm just sharing is about my own experience, and of course some of the books and all the research I have done over the years. So feel free to engage in healthy conversations or discussions in the comment section. I really love to hear that. And it's interesting how sometimes it's like a two-way knowledge. So sometimes people feel like the fact that you get in front of a camera to talk about a topic, it means that you are like the alpha and omega, like some people would say. But I think it's more of just to really create those opportunities to engage in discussions, and we can have knowledge sharing both ways. Anyways, just to jump right into it, I just want to talk about 7 mistakes most entrepreneurs make. And I won't take so much time. I'm just gonna go through each one of them from my own perspective. So the first one really is about insufficient planning. So we know how they talk about he who fails to plan plans to fail. So you cannot plan too much as an entrepreneur. So you really have to take your time, create a plan in terms of what are you looking to achieve, what are the milestones you want, what are the support and resources out there to help you. And I always want to emphasize this point, because I think sometimes people just want to jump into stuff and hope for the best. It doesn't really work like that. A lot of times things we assume happen by accidents or like chance or luck is really you have put in so much preparation and work, or that individual. So we cannot undermine whatever effort. So I think it's important that you go into a lot of planning. Planning could actually take 6 months, 1 year, depends on you. But I think the more you plan, the more likely you are to achieve whatever goals you set out, or whatever sort of business, product, or services you want to put out there. Now, the second one is really about spending way too much money initially. And I think this is a very important piece, because I have done a video in the past where I said, I sort of took this, I did like a random survey, most entrepreneurs I was speaking to, or people, budding entrepreneurs who wanted to start their own business. And everyone kept saying, the reason why I've not started my business is money. And that could be dangerous sometimes, because sometimes people think they just want to get money, and then they just go to that whole spending spree. You're not keeping record or keeping track of your spending and all of that. So it's important not to spend way too much money initially. Take it progressively. That money will come in handy as you grow with the business, because sometimes business, when you kickstart it, the first 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, you might not even break even or even make any profit. So sometimes you might need some of those cash flow, those finances to really keep you going. Or even when you have things that you didn't plan for initially, because no matter how much you plan, there will be things that will come up and pretty much like destabilize you if you're not really very prepared for some of those eventualities. So I think it's important, don't spend way too much money. Now, what do you consider too much? That would depend on you, but I think you really have to be very less emotional as possible. So basically try as much as possible to cut down on your costs, especially when you're in that first 1 or 2 years of growth. Because remember, you might want to expand at one point or the other, and the less loans or credit facilities you will get, the better for you. So if you're going in with your cash, for example, do your best to keep it there. Yes, there might be sometimes you have to borrow, but I think it's just having that mindset. And like I say, these things are more like principles I'm throwing out there. So the actions will vary from individual to individual, but I think it is important to keep your spending as minimal as possible. The third one, which I think is very, very important as well, and I emphasize on this a lot, trying to do everything yourself. So we talked about you not spending so much money, but remember, you cannot be jack of all trades. So I know for a lot of time when you set up your own business, you are the guy doing the marketing, you are the guy doing the production, you are the guy doing the logistics, the fulfillment, of course. But I think any opportunity you have to outsource people to do stuff for you, at the barest minimum, do it, so that you can focus on the core around business development and sales. I'm going to do a video very soon talking about why everyone needs to have sales skills. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to really work on your business development and sales, because that's the most important skill. But that's another video. But I think the point I'm trying to make here is, as much as possible, whatever you can outsource or even get people within your network to do for you, pro bono or free or cheap, whatever it is, do so that you can focus on the core of, if it's production you're doing, you producing these products yourself, or if it's like business development you're doing, you focus on working on that, because that way you can have more time to think about what are the new strategies I can throw into the business, instead of looking back and finding that 24 hours of your day you're spending 18 hours doing what we call support services. So it is a very important thing to note. Try as much as possible not to do everything yourself, because time is very precious for an entrepreneur. Trust me, 24 hours wouldn't be enough, and sometimes you find yourself in the same spot. That's because you are pretty much doing everything. So reach out in your network, your circle. There might be people who might offer one thing or the other at a subsidized rate, or even on pro bono basis. So that's another thing. The fourth thing which I want to talk about, making things perfect. So before launching, that's very important, because I think a lot of times we talk about planning, and that's very important, but remember that you are going into a journey of the unknown. You don't know how much the product will sell, or the service, until you really kickstart it. So you just have to do your best, put in everything. You don't have the foresight of knowing tomorrow, so you don't know everything. So there will be a lot of unknowns, but the most important thing is prepare for them. Create this sort of like contingencies, just in case they don't go right the way you want it. Then at least you can make changes. So do not wait for things to be perfect before you launch. And I think I watched a video where Mark Zuckerberg did talk about it on Facebook, where he was like, when he kickstarted, the direction his business went 5-10 years after, it wasn't really how he anticipated. He had to make some changes, so he didn't really know what the whole 20 years projection or 10 years projection would be. But at least to an extent, you have a vague idea, or put in everything you need to do, and then at least that safeguards you to a great extent. That's the next one. The sixth one, which I wanted to talk about, is not copying others. So we talk about best practices, whereby you can see what has worked for other people, you implement it perfect, but you really need to understand that it's as much as possible you can distinguish yourself in the market. So you don't have to copy every single thing your competitor or people who are successful have done. No, you can take the principles, you could tweak it a little bit, but the most important thing is you have to add new value to what is existing there, because that's the most important. And sometimes people who don't really have good insight look at two businesses and say, you know what, they offer the same thing. But trust me, if you go deeper and you really take time to review the processes and what those business offerings are, you find out that they are not as identical as you would think. So it's very, very important. Do not overcopy others. You can copy certain things, you could sort of replicate the models, you could use the principle, but do not overcopy, because otherwise you will struggle in the long term. And and I mean, that point is very, very important, because thinking about the fact that when you have this sort of businesses, these people are probably going to be your competitors as well. So when you copy them, why would people want to switch to these individuals and stick to not stick to those individuals and come to you? So it's very, very important to realize that. And then of course the last one is not being passionate enough about your business. So I see this is very common. So people want to do the whole crowd mindset. So basically you are in businesses that you're not passionate about. So does that business keep you late at night? Do you think about that business all the time? Are you always seeking ways to improve the business every time you get those giant wins? So when I talk about wins, it's not solely about money, it's more like progress. How does it make you feel? Are you very passionate? And you you can see this when people talk about their businesses on, during interviews or question and answers. It's obvious that this individual is very passionate about their business, or this person is probably just doing it because of the money. But trust me, over time you might run out of ideas, and that innate creativity which every one of us do have, it comes out more when you are passionate about this business which you have set out to do. So passion is something I cannot overemphasize. Like I do, my business is centered around international trade between Africa and Canada, and of course Africa and the globe, and I am so passionate about that. Like it is something that keeps me up late at night. It's something that the moment I come across any article or I see any movement in that space, like, oh my god, I go crazy. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So it's very important to be passionate about what you do. So yeah, those are the core 7 mistakes which I think entrepreneurs do, and like advice on really how to ensure you don't fall into that trap. Just to recap: insufficient planning. Keep planning. Plan as much as possible. Consider all the scenarios. Create all these contingency plans. Spending way too much money initially, so you don't want to throw in all your money initially, because things will come up you didn't anticipate for. And of course you would also want to grow your business as you go. The third one is trying to do everything yourself. So as much as you can outsource without spending too much, or even ask your friends or your network to support you in a way or the other, take advantage of that. Then the fourth one is making things perfect before you launch. So it doesn't have to be perfect before you launch. Just make sure you've done everything you need to do, and then the rest will just sort itself out as you go. And then the fifth one, obviously, overcopying others. So try not to overcopy other people. Try to create a niche for yourself. You might have 2 similar products, but make sure there is an extra value you are adding. Of course, make sure you do all your surveys. Survey your potential clients. Market research is very, very important. So spend time surveying all your clients or potential clients before you start the business. Ask questions, qualitative, quantitative. Let people give you feedback. You could even launch the business in phases, so that at least you could have multiple iterations and all of that. And then of course the last one is that not being passionate enough. So ensure that you are very passionate, love what you're doing. It's not just about the money. Yeah, the money is important, but I think our passion needs to be there, because otherwise you might run out of steam. And of course the last thing I just want to say, start today. You've been talking about starting this business forever, or maybe your career, obviously, but start today. There's never the best time to do it. Put in all the work, put in all the preparation, and then go for it. So anyways, I hope you found this very useful, and it's always a pleasure. And we do have a comment section, so wherever this is, on Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube, I want to hear from you. What are some of those mistakes people have made, or you have made, and you probably have learned from, and which you want to put out there for people to ensure they don't make the same mistakes going forward. Don't forget to like and share this video, and first follow us on YouTube as well. It's Kenneth Oguzie, Oguzie, and so that you could get like regular updates when I post this sort of videos. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.